Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Entrepreneurship Lab. This is your host, Nevena Bajalac, welcoming you once again to the podcast where we help you grow and scale your business. And today we're talking about several topics. We're going to talk about business growth. We're going to talk about franchising because we have an incredible guest coming to us all the way from US. His name is Cliff Nonnenmacher. And I hope I pronounced that well. And Cliff has a huge entrepreneurial experience. He has a background in actually franchising. He helps businesses now franchise, run, and scale their business. And he's going to share with us and help you by sharing his experience on how you can also grow and scale. So, welcome to the show, Cliff. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more how you started. I read something you started on Wall Street. Is it correct? Where did your journey as entrepreneur begin?
It's I as a young boy, I started around 8, 9 years of age, raking golf balls out of country club ponds and looking into the woods for golf balls and then cleaning them up and selling them. I did that for years as a young person, and I did well with it for a kid, right? I could make $100 on a weekend, and back in 1980s, that would be like $300, $400 today. So then that evolved into water sport concessions and video stores and restoration businesses and multiple gyms. So I've been a serial entrepreneur. Don't know a better word to use. Some people don't like that word, but I just keep doing it over and over and over again,
Yeah.
buying, building, scaling. And today we created a consulting company that helps people navigate the process. So we help people identify franchise concepts based upon their investment objectives, help them with due diligence, legal review, and really understand what they're getting involved in. So that's kind of a
Yeah.
fast forward to today.
Yeah, something motivated me to ask you this question because when you said you were cleaning golf balls, that's like so unusual. But what was like where was your mindset about money at that young age? Because many kids would not think that way or not think to earn money. Was it, are you from entrepreneurial family or your families maybe struggled and you felt like you want, did you always had, it seems like you
Yeah.
always had a drive, but it's probably coming from somewhere. So I find it very interesting. Like, where is it coming from?
Yeah, I mean, I was always interested in money. That's true. And I think I was always just motivated. I was doing different things as a kid. Everyone wanted to do certain things. I just wanted to be in business. I just loved it. I was obsessed really with it. I think the inspiration came from my parents. My mom always told you have to hustle, hustle, hustle. You got to work hard. You got to provide. That was really her messaging as a kid is you need to provide one day. You need to be head of household. Like you need to provide. You have to make money. You need to hustle. You got to work. My father was always doing something entrepreneurial, so that was quite inspirational to me.
Yeah.
And he showed me that you could do it, right? Just set your mind to it, you could do it. So I was inspired also by my next door neighbors. The golf balls specifically came from my next door neighbors who gave me the idea. They were
Mm.
very entrepreneurial. There were four kids next door. They were much older, over a decade older than me, maybe more. And they inspired me to do the golf balls, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was literally easy money because a
Yeah.
golf ball could be $1 as a kid. Like that's a dollar. I used to sell them in egg cartons at the entrances of country clubs, and I would sell out because they were a deep discount to buying brand new. And a lot of people are not good at golf, and they go through a lot of golf balls. So it was to me, it was the greatest thing. I could get out of school, run into the woods, grab a clam rake, bang out some golf balls, and by that weekend, I'm ready to go making money. I just loved it. And of course, I did all the things that a young entrepreneur would do, raking leaves, mowing lawns, watching dogs,
Yeah.
all those types of things. But the golf balls to me was a very unique way of making money and being financially independent.
And I never heard that. So for me, that was like, I love that you can hear how people can making money. And I mean, not just people, kids, you were still very young at that time. So thank you for sharing that with us. I really, really
Sure.
appreciate it. And you actually, before Uber Eats, before many delivery app, you also started delivering food.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind that? And where were you based at that time? Which part of
So
US? And what was your, environment at that time? Because this was
I
much
moved.
before we had like delivery. Yeah.
That's correct. The golf balls was in New York. I lived in Long Island. We left Long Island in 1988, and I moved to another island, which was 3 miles by 6 miles, so very small, 3 by 6. And I was a doorman at the Marco Island Hilton, and people would ask the same questions over and over and over again. So I would work there after high school. I was in high school, so I would go to the hotel, and they would always ask, where do I get grouper? Where can I get this meal? Where can I do a high end? Where is date night? Where can I get good, swordfish or whatever they were asking? Where is there just fast food? Because the island was very mom and pop, if you will. It wasn't heavy on franchises. As a matter of fact, the island rejected franchising. They actually disputed McDonald's even coming to the island. So I said, the island is so small. I could deliver food from one side of the island to the other very quickly. So I created a food delivery concept, and we delivered for 16 restaurants, including McDonald's. We delivered for Subway. We delivered for a pharmacy. We delivered for an auto parts store. And we did it using pagers and cell phones, and they're called trunking units, little radios we had in the cars to commute. Remember, I'm going back to 1990. I graduated high school in 1990, so that's when I launched it, and then 1991 and 92. So yeah, I mean, technically, I created Uber Eats before
Ah,
decades before Uber Eats, and technically, I was the first known subcontractor food delivery company for McDonald's Corporation, probably in the world, if not just the U.S. So yeah, I had a dedicated cash register just for me at McDonald's because we would do over 100 deliveries a day just for them.
wow, that's insane. And
Yep. Yeah, and
I
I'm like
want to ask
19,
you,
18,
yeah,
19.
exactly. And I wanted to ask you, have you like register official company? Did you do like a lot of process, or this was just like side hustle and you do, behind the doors, or you actually went and established company and,
Yeah,
start growing? What happened there?
exactly. Established a company, ended up getting a virtual assistant. Back then, you had like shared office space. So there was a receptionist that worked in that building that would handle like 15 offices. So I rented an office in that building so that I could get access to her so that she could begin receiving those incoming phone calls so that I didn't have to hire someone full time. And then she would sort all the menus. So people would call in and say, "Hey, remember, there's no one's emailing. Nobody's sending PDFs back." Like that wasn't happening back then. People wanted you to physically mail them all of the restaurants that I delivered food for. So she would take 16 restaurant menus and put them in a folder and send them out to people, and it just took off.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where people realized, you know, we don't need to leave the comfort of our home to have any meal. Remember, at the time, the only people delivering or would be Domino's Pizza. That's it.
Wow.
Like they owned it. I mean, if you think
Yeah.
about it, like Domino's Pizza owned the pizza food delivery category. It was their
Yeah.
entire value proposition. If you don't receive it in 30 minutes or less, it's free. And
Yeah.
then Jimmy John's tried that, like, hey, we're the best food delivery. And then today, it is no longer a value proposition to say I
No.
deliver food. It's like big
No.
deal. Everybody delivers food. But
Yeah.
back then, it was novel. People loved it. We did hundreds of deliveries a day. I then ended up with employees, and we had, my partner, which was Gary Vecchio, a dear friend of mine. And then we continued to scale the business. And then ultimately, that opportunity took me to taking over water sport concessions on the Jersey Shore, Marco Island, Florida, parasail, jet skis, catamarans, and it continued to evolve.
Yeah. But for me, what's fascinating me that at such a young age, what I notice now from listening to you is that you really had a mindset, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like you had a mindset that you didn't focus on the ways, because a lot of people around us will tell us, oh, that's not going to work, or you're going to have this obstacle and that obstacle. That's why I ask you, like, did you just started hustling, or you actually went and opened a company and registered and, paid taxes and all of those things? Because
Oh yeah, I
many
did it all
people,
right. Yeah.
yeah, because many people before even starting, they're thinking about how it's going to fail or how it's going to work. How will I solve this problem or that solve? And for me, you just seem like a get-go person. You're like, hey, people asking for this, let's just do it. And how was there something you worked on as a young person to develop this mindset? Because I think this is what stops so many people from succeeding. We just
100% you're right.
overthink so much. Like we just don't take action and we overthink.
The you nailed it. I completely agree with you. It is a mindset. Okay. There's no doubt about it. It is a prevailing attitude that you have. And the one reason that most people don't do anything is their ego. And when I say their ego, it's the imagined identity that you create for yourself. And the ego is never happy. It's always regretting the things you didn't do in the past. And the ego always fears what it doesn't know is going to happen in the future. And for that reason, a lot of people will doom scroll. Remember, as a human being, we're risk adverse, right? And as a human being, we do catastrophic thinking and we have a lot of bias and all this other stuff that happens as a human being, right? And you
Yeah,
have to fight that
yeah,
biology. I mean, it's
yeah,
literally like wired in your biology as a human being that you will fear the unknown and you'll be embarrassed if you fail and your
yeah,
spouse is watching, your friends are watching, your children are watching you. And it's like, if I fail, how embarrassing. Like my kids are going to watch me fail. And what's crazy about everything that we just said, it has nothing to do with the business. It has nothing to do with an economic cycle. It has nothing to do with profitability, scalability. Most of the things that stop people from winning and living their best life has everything to do with their ego, how they're viewed, embarrassment, etc. And unfortunately, if you got into the head of people that are about to do something new and take some risks, all they do is doom scroll all the ways they're going to fail, and they never really intersperse winning in that doom cycle. I've often say people are the Steven Spielberg of making movies in their brain where all they do is bleed and lose and fail. That's all they do
yeah,
because that's what people do. It's just the saddest part. So for me, I skipped college. I didn't want to go. I didn't see the benefit to me to go. I felt like I was well read, self taught, constantly reading, constantly learning, and I just wanted to get into it. I didn't want to wait 4 to 6 years
yeah,
to start my entrepreneurial journey. I graduated high school. I was already running auto detailing businesses while in high school. So I was already doing things, and then came out. But you nailed it.
yeah.
Mindset is everything. Overcoming fear is everything. And people need to focus on those things on how to overcome fear if they want to live the best version of their life, retire uncompromised, and create generational wealth.
Yeah, because I see this so much, and you just gave so many reasons, like, that time, no emails, no technology, nobody's doing this. So people say, who will want this? And also you said that you lived in a small place, like super small island. So people will say, how will you make business work when, you are not in a big city and so on.
That's right.
So people make so many excuses in their head, and they just stop themselves from actually taking the action.
Well, I like what you said, and you're right. And I always say that people masquerade fear, and they'll call it tariffs. They'll call it, fiscal stimulus. The dollar is weakening. There's some geopolitical tension, and they masquerade their fears around by just saying, "My spouse is uncomfortable. My CPA said it's a bad idea. I'm speaking to my attorney right now about some little nuances," and that's what they do. But if you just said, "Look, you have to come to terms with the brain is wired for survival, not success." And that's what makes successful people such an enigma, is because the brain is literally wired for survival. It is not wired for success. So when you see people doing things outside the norm, becoming self-employed, risking everything, putting it all on the line, everyone's kind of fascinated by it because it's not a normal behavior. That's right. Because
Yeah.
fear is biological. It is not it is not logical. It's
Yeah.
biological. And that's
Yeah.
what people don't get about fear. And by the way, no one talks about fear. Nobody talks about this stuff. Like, and that's part of the issue why people don't actually get over that line is that they don't spend enough time dealing with fear and dealing with their introspective self and understanding what are my recurring thoughts. Your recurring thoughts are, some family member looking down on you. Like that has nothing to do with the business opportunity. You have a winning hand. Execute.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. I see this
Exactly.
shit all the time. Everybody has these family members. Everyone has these people in their life that are idea rich and execution poor. We all know these people.
Exactly, exactly. And so I would like to know, um, because I remember myself also young, I always hustle, I always do two, three things. I love to make money and be independent. And did you ever like, do you have a fun story? I don't want to call it break a law, but doing something, maybe young or maybe even later. Because for me, I had a diploma high school as a physiotherapist, and I was very good at giving massage. So I'm in university, I need to make some cash. So I make these flyers and give in a student dorm that, like people can buy a massage. And then they call me like from the management, this is not allowed and so on. But they call me pretending they're a customer just to check if I'm going to offer. So this is a fun story. I don't know if I ever shared it actually, but
Right.
like it was kind of illegal, to do.
Right.
So I was like, oh, but I still found a way to continue. So do you have any fun stories? Because you have huge experience as entrepreneur and
Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
question. Anything along those lines? Well, number one, you're not supposed to be on a golf course with a clam rake. I don't know if you know this or not. Their business model is to drain the lake, retrieve the golf balls, and they would sell them, right? So
Mhm.
basically, I'm taking their product in the darkness of night, really, because that's when I went out there after school, right at dusk, and take. But no, I mean, I was in a business that would be a David and Goliath story. So when I was an investment banker and I had a boss and I wanted a printer on my side of the building. There was one printer for 50 brokers and it was Smith Barney was the name of the firm and it was in Naples, Florida. So I asked him for a printer. He was like, if you want one, you buy it. So I bought it. The printer cartridge was $200 to replace. So I'm like, wow, that's expensive. And again, I'm going back now. So I'm like, you know what? I found this idea of melting a perfect circle with a soldering iron and a little copper pipe and filling up the cartridge with toner, and it worked. It printed another 4,000 pages. So I found a company in Australia that literally reverse engineered every component in a toner cartridge, including inkjet cartridges. I bought the concept from Australia, brought it to the United States, and started scaling 36 units as a master franchisor, which means I control the state of New York and Connecticut, and I could open up as many locations as I wanted, and I could also sub franchise to other people. And that's what I did for a few years, and we ended up with around 36 locations. Now you're going up against Lexmark, Canon, HP, right? Epson. These are massive multi-billion multinational companies, and we're taking their empty cartridges and we're reverse engineering them, chip resetters, so that the printer believed the secret handshake was authentic. So that to me, it wasn't illegal. By the way, it was not illegal, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
why. There's an act that was passed called the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And if you look up the DMCA Act, it basically says this: if you can figure out a way to recharge a Duracell battery that's dead, its end of life has been reached, under the law, under the DMCA law, you reserve that right. So if you could figure out how to recharge a dead Duracell battery or a dead alkaline battery, you get my point. It doesn't need
Yes.
to be the brand, it needs to be the concept.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's what happened to the printer cartridge industry. Someone figured out how to give a printer consumable an end of life use, and they were protected under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Wow, it's
And
insane. And all
HP hated
started,
it.
and all started with like buying your own printer. So if the bank gave
With
you a
a
printer, you would never develop this business. How insane is
it,
that?
but thank you for saying that. A lot of people don't get that. So it's your bad boss moment. He makes an ill-conceived idea. I was on a team, we were $1 million producers. I ended up leaving the firm because now all of that from go buy your own printer. And that's the thing. People always look at adversity like it's a permanent setback. To me, there's always an opportunity. There's always an unintended consequence, and that doesn't mean it's a negative consequence. There's always something going on, and you're right. Bad boss moment, stupid decision, buy your own printer. I leave the firm, scale 36 units, and I never left the industry. That is my entrance to franchising, by the way, was that printer cartridge brand. That is my first foray into franchising.
And what a revenge to the boss who was stingy to
Loved it.
buy one printer.
Cor-
I
correct. It
love
was
it. I
crazy.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, for people who are listening, they're looking to scale. We have listeners from different industries, and you were in so many different industries. But I like to believe that business, I feel like people think sometimes business is a rocket science. And I just like how this conversation, how action oriented you are. And like, again, I'm going back to like, you are now researching how to recycle, refill the cartridges. Like nobody's doing this. So there could be like a million obstacles. And I'm assuming this didn't happen in one day. So, but you just decided, hey, let's do this. Let's make it happen. Let's research. So I like to believe that there are some pillars or some foundation to any industry you are in the business, some things that are so important that you just have to do, or to grow your business. So for you, what are those basics that no matter in which industry you were, you had to implement?
Hmm. Interesting. First of all, don't take advice from people that aren't where you want to be, because there's a
Mm,
lot of people in your head, a lot of people telling you what to do, what not to do. It's not going to work, the naysayers. Most people, quite frankly, don't want to see others become successful, and most people don't want to see anyone exit the circle. Let's just call that circle like
yes.
middle class or mediocrity. They don't want to see them leave that circle. So you have to get over all those things. As Einstein said, like, don't hang out with negative people because they find a problem for every solution. Yes, and
Yeah.
so surrounding yourself with the right people is the first part, is getting that network of people that just are constantly challenging the status quo. I'm not sure exactly how to answer this question.
Yeah.
You're right. It's like I had no industry experience in anything I've ever done. And that should be enough of a reason to say stop. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, would you accept a job? Would you accept a job in the printer cartridge remanufacturing industry with no industry experience? The answer is no. The
Yeah.
answer is no, I would not. Well, then why would you start a business in something you know nothing about? Right?
Yeah.
Think about that mindset shift. Because literally, if you said to me, go apply for a job in that industry, absolutely not. I have no industry experience. They'll either A, never hire me, or I'm outside of the scope of my knowledge in that
I don't know
space.
how to help them. Like, I
That's
don't know
right.
how to invite, move on. Or maybe, like you wouldn't know in that job, they would ask you to do specific tasks. And this is what happened when you're an employee, you're required to do specific tasks. But when you're an entrepreneur, what I see with you is that you are, inventing something new. And maybe this is what drives you. You're like just taking something unknown and making it happen. And for me also,
Yeah.
I love consulting. I love working with different industries, and makes no sense for so many people. But I'm like, but yeah, I just learned like in 6 months with working with the CEO or with this company, I learned about that industry so much, so you're constantly expanding your knowledge. And this is what I feel also drives you.
Yeah, it's just I think that's really the answer. It's like
Yeah.
why delivering, why printer cartridges, why distribute the Fun Noodle, why own a video store, which was a bad weather hedge. That's the answer to that. It's like, why did
Yeah.
you do a video store? Because I was in the water sport business, and if it rained, I was out of business. So I did something that made money all the time. Good weather, bad weather. I was one of two video stores on the whole island. Anything I've ever done is going to be one of two things. It's either good feelings or solutions to problems. Those are the two areas that I tend to stay in, right? So it's like, what do you have? I have a printer cartridge. What is that? It's a solution to a problem. Printer cartridges, if you extrapolate them into a gallon, you're paying between $3,000 and $5,000 a gallon for black ink. Do that math. It is an inkjet cartridge is more expensive than Chanel number 5. Like,
Insane.
You could extrapolate it yourself. You're only buying 16 milliliters. You're buying less than any perfume bottle. The cavity of it is all a sponge. There's not that much in
Yeah.
it. So if you think about what you're paying thousands of dollars per gallon for ink. So that's a solution to a problem. Parasail boats, food delivery, good feelings. So I like to be in those two categories. And literally my whole career has been that way. Gyms is both. It's good feelings, it's solutions to problems. I need to fit in that dress. I got to lose weight. I have heart issue, like whatever it is. So I liked the fitness business for that reason. But yeah, I just believe in get the idea. Most people just sit on it. Don't sit on it. Execution is everything. I believe in flawless execution. I believe in leveraging collective intelligence. I want to get my group and I want to leverage their collective intelligence. I want to gather that data and I like empirical information, right? Not a lot of subjective info or opinions. And then I like to just say, okay, do I have something here? And then test it and execute it. Yeah, I don't like sitting on things. I think most people procrastinate. Most people look for reasons to fail. Most people look for reasons to not do things. And my whole life I've just kept executing. And you know what's really interesting too about what you said? A lot of people believe it's just this weird thing where it's like, I don't know if I want to do printer cartridges. My attitude is, let's do it for three. Like, I could care less if I'm doing it for 1, 2, 3, 5 years. They make it look like it defines them. It's as if I'm going to do this business and that's it for me. No, we could own whatever we want. We're entrepreneurs. We could buy anything we want. I could
Yeah.
own a hospital if I wanted. I could own an urgent care center. I'm not a doctor. I'll hire a physician and they'll execute the business.
Yeah, I always had the same mindset. I know it's confused, like you talked about, like our family members and, like my mom and everyone. And I'm like, they're like, I'm confused. What do I tell people? Because I've been into so many industries. What I studied was completely opposite what I'm doing last decade and
Exactly.
so on. And even some people ask me, wait, you're consulting or business. Where did you learn this? Where did you learn this? I'm like, guys, like this is just an experience you're putting into system to help someone reach where you've been, like next step. Of course you don't know all the steps maybe, but so for me it's fun. Me, I love being in other
Agreed.
industries, but you're right, like a lot of people putting themselves in the box and they think it's forever. And what I notice, a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they build business to grow, scale, and exit. They are not emotionally attached or find it necessarily their purpose or something huge. They just enjoy building businesses. And
Yeah.
yeah, so maybe we leave listeners with that kind of thinking, detaching a little bit more and just have fun into creating something more that, people can use and benefit from.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I agree with you. I think that
Thank
people
you,
need
Cliff.
to really reflect. Yeah, it was great
Yeah.
being on your show. I appreciate it. Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you. This was so much fun. And yeah, I will just refer, Cliff asked me before we started recording, like, hey, I'm only in the US. Where are your listeners from? Can they benefit from this? And this was I didn't even expect how much experience and stories you can share with us. So it was really inspiring. And thank you for
Thank you.
being here today.
Thanks for having me.
So everyone, make sure to give us some comments, take some notes, and learn from this experience. Learn from Cliff. What an incredible entrepreneur. Leave us some comments. What would you like to learn next and hear next in the podcast? And share with at least one entrepreneur that can benefit from this interview. Thank you for listening. I see you in the next one.